If you consume any watch content, there is no doubt that you've come across affordable alternative videos and articles. Today I'm going to be doing an affordable alternative video. However, this is going to be a little bit different. Usually in the videos that you've seen in the past, there's a huge compromise. If you want a Cartier Santos, buy a Casio instead. Yes, Casio makes a tank. Yes, it's very affordable, but really, is it an alternative to a Cartier Santos? Of course, it is not. Today, I'm going to talk about real alternatives to real luxury watches. But the alternatives that I'm going to be talking about are significantly less expensive without much compromise on quality and style. So let's stop wasting time and get right into my list of luxury alternative watches. So you're going to see a pretty good theme throughout this video. The watches that I am talking about have an aesthetic similarity. However, one watch costs significantly more. The second watch, the alternative, the one that I'm suggesting, costs significantly less. However, you are getting a lot of the same aesthetic and functionality and most of the quality, if not the same amount of quality in the alternative. I'm going to start with one of the best watches that is on this list. If you're familiar with IWC, there is a watch that is called the Time Zoner. It's very expensive. In fact, it's one of the IWCs that actually hold their value pretty well. It has some very cool functionality. Usually these are world timers or GMTs. They get a world time bezel and some really amazing functionality. The functionality here is essentially that bezel operates the hour hand. So you don't have a local jumping hour hand like a true GMT. The bezel, when you're changing the location on that bezel, it will change the hour hand on the dial. It is a real cool functionality. And you also have a little sub window that's for another 24-hour time zone, your choice, which is really great functionality for a traveler's watch. However, IWC was not the inventor of this complication. A man named Michael Vaught was, and he started his own brand called Vogard. Vogard sell the exact same watch. It looks slightly different, but they do look very, very similar to the IWC versions. Now, the IWC versions sell for around $10,000 used. If you want to buy one new, they're in that $20,000 range. These are very expensive watches because they are pretty hard to make. Vogard make the exact same complication. So you get that rotating bezel that is tied to the hour hand, and on eBay they go for around $2,000. I have seen them sell for less. Right now on eBay there are a few for sale between $2,000 and $2,500. There are make offers on these watches as well, so you could definitely get them in that $2,000 or right about that $2,000 range. That is incredible, and they are powered by a non-in-house movement. That is why they are cheaper. So they get a Sellita SW300 or a 2892 from Etta. Great movements, high quality movements. They aren't in-house like the IWC, but with that being said, you're getting the exact same module that goes on top of that IWC in-house movement, and it's designed by the exact same person who made it for IWC. So there you go. This is a true alternative to the Time Zoner. So if you've ever looked at the Time Zoner and said, this is a little too expensive, take a look at Vogard. It's just as good, it looks just as good, and it works just as well for literally a fraction. If you love the watches that I talk about here on my channel, you're really going to love the website that I'm about to tell you about. It's called Wrist Rebels. Wrist Rebels is a website that has all of those small micro brands and independent brands that are really hard to find all in one place. Brands like Formex, Awake, Martin Designs, and Squale, and many other brands you won't find anywhere else. Definitely check out Wrist Rebels at wristrebels.com. Also check out their their Instagram at WristRebels. And if you end up buying something, tell them that Watchchris sent you. Do you like the Longo 1? I do. I think it's a really good looking watch and obviously a very, very expensive watch. If you want one of these watches, you're going to have to shell out a lot of money to get one. Even on the used market, they are expensive. Expect to pay between $20,000 and $30,000. These are not cheap watches. Usually they are in precious metal as well. But I have a really great alternative to the Longo 1, and I think these are very good looking watches. I know that they're really well made and they have their own in-house movement. I'm talking about the brand Pequignet. If you're not familiar with this brand, you should probably check them out because on the secondary market, their watches sell for fantastic prices. The watch that I'm going to talk about right now sells for almost $10,000. However, used on the secondary market, these watches are selling again around $2,000. And you are getting a lot of really cool functionality for that price. Plus, you are getting an in-house movement. The Royal Titan Grand Sport right now on eBay are hovering around $3,000. There are ones on eBay with make offers. You can definitely get these if you are patient between $2,000 and $3,000. And you are getting a lot for that money. They are in titanium. Some are not, some are. But the one that I'm talking about right now, that Royal Titan Grand Sport, is in titanium. You're getting that in-house movement with 88 hours of power reserve, a double jumping date display. So that is pretty awesome. 8 international patents on this watch. It's 100% French made. So this is a French made automatic movement. You get to see that movement from the back. It has a really interesting rotor. Lots of complications as well. You're getting a power reserve, small seconds. Looks complicated. That's because it is complicated and they're really good looking. And they're also really well made, especially for their prices on the secondary market. Now, at retail, I would not buy these, but used, I absolutely would. There are some gray market out there. Those are slightly more expensive. Used is the way to go with these watches. So if you're a fan of world timers like I am, you are definitely a fan of the 2 watches that I'm going to talk about next. They are true grail watches, the Patek Philippe world timers, the 5130 and the 5230. They are expensive, running between $30,000 and $70,000. So if you ever want to get one of these, you're going to have to dish out a lot of money. However, there is one watch out there that I think is a really good alternative to these watches. And that watch is a watch that came out last year from Frédéric Constant. They make a world timer and there are plenty of different iterations of this world timer. And I think that's a really good alternative to the watches that we're talking about, that 5130 and the 5230. However, they made a collaboration with Watch Angels. Watch Angels are a group of guys who absolutely love watches, and they came up with a world timer, and it is a Frédéric Constant world timer that has a manufacturer movement inside, the 3600. It's a really good looking movement. This is a blue dial manufacturer world timer that was done in collaboration with Watch Angels. It has no date. It has a blue sunburst dial. It looks so much like, actually I would say a lot more like the 5230, the more modern world timer, in my opinion. It's around 42 millimeters. That in-house movement is the FC718. Like I said, you could see it from the back. It has a gold tone rotor. It's finished beautifully. These are great looking watches and they are affordable. You can get these for under $5,000. If you want to buy one of their other versions, you can get those well below $5,000 in that $3,000 range, sometimes even cheaper. This Watch Angels version is a little bit more rare, so you're going to pay a little bit more money for it. But if you want a watch that looks so much like a Patek Philippe, definitely check out the Watch Angels version of the Frédéric Constant world timer. Also, I want to give a little bit of an honorable mention here. Raymond Weil also make the Freelancer, which is a little bit cheaper than this watch and looks a lot like that 5230 or the 5130, depending on how you look at it. But This is a very capable watch as well. 100 meters of water resistance. It's 41 millimeters. It's powered by a Sellita SW300, which is obviously a very reliable movement. It gets a world time function. Bronze and green is probably my favorite. They made a blue dial, they made a few other colors, and it's very affordable. You can get these in the range of around $2,000 if you're patient and you wait for the right watch to come along. These are really cool as well. I like the Federic Constant just a little bit more because you're getting that manufacturer movement, that in-house movement, but they are both very good looking. The next two watches I want to talk about are probably my favorite watches on this list. The Memovox by JLC is just an incredible alarm watch. The Memovox is really an icon in itself. They are expensive though, so if you wanted a JLC Memovox, their Master Control, which is their dressy version, it's 40 millimeters, it costs $16,000. It's just a lot of money. But it gets even worse. If you want one that could actually get wet, that costs $22,800. That's the Mariner Memovox. That's the Polaris version. So it gets a dual crown, and obviously this is an alarm watch. You get that alarm functionality. So this is technically a diving alarm. Very, very expensive. There is, however, another icon that you could buy that comes in dress watch form and dive watch form, and it is much more affordable, and I would say as iconic as the Memovox. In fact, it could be more iconic, and it was worn by presidents. Of course, I am talking about the Cricket from Vulcain. I own a Cricket. I really love that watch. It costs under $5,000, and they are very good looking. They're really well made, and you get an in-house movement. Inside the Vulcain Cricket is the V10, and you get the choice if you want to see it, if you don't want to see it. They give you so many different options, size options, 36 millimeters going up to 39 millimeters. So if you have a small wrist or a large wrist, they really do have a watch for you. And they also make a nautical Cricket. The nautical Cricket is a decompression timer. It looks so good, and those are not much more expensive than the normal Cricket. The normal Cricket, like I said, is around $4,800, $4,850, somewhere around there. Just for a little bit more money, $5,390, you can get a nautical version of the Cricket. And like I said, really good looking watch, really well made. Again, powered by that V10 movement, hand wound in-house movement, and it is loud and it buzzes on your wrist. Not only do you hear it, you feel it. It's so cool. I really have always loved the Cricket. It's been worn by presidents. It's super iconic and also kind of affordable when you think about the alternatives out there, especially that Memovox. Last but not least, the last pick that I have on this list, and there could be a lot more watches on this list. In fact, if you guys like this video, I will definitely make more because I have a lot of watches to talk about. I know right now there are a lot of jump hours popping out of the woodwork because they are very popular right now. And there are a lot of affordable jump hours that are coming out of the woodwork as well. However, there are some really amazing used and vintage jump hours that you can get on places like eBay and Chrono24. And I'm going to give you one really good example that is really well made by Perollet. Perollet make a fully Swiss-made jump hour that gets a beautiful movement that is fully decorated by Perollet. Now, Perollet, before they were taken over by Soprod, used to use ETA movement. So this is an ETA 2892, I want to say, that has been heavily modified by Perollet. Not only does it have a jump hour module on it, but it is extremely decorated. You also get a Breguet style case. You have that coin edge on the side of the case. You have these beautiful lugs. Usually with Perollet, the case is very, very ornate. And of course that movement as well. The jump hours here kind of remind me a little bit of Gerald Genta. And obviously if you love Gerald Genta, this is also a very good alternative to Gerald Genta jump hours as well. Those go for around $5,000 to $6,000. These go for around $1,000 to $2,000. And you can get them pretty easily, like I said, on places like Chrono24, and eBay. These are legible. You get a very large window for that jump hour, and then you get an offset minute hand and a small seconds. It sort of looks like a regulator slash jump hour. I love these watches. I think they're really good looking, and like I said, very, very affordable, especially considering what's coming out these days. Now, jump hours are very popular. They are kind of expensive if you want them from a major brand or an independent brand. If you want them from a micro brand, they go for around $1,000 depending on the version that you're looking at. $1,000 is a really great price, but if you want a Swiss movement, then you have to go to the used market, and you can get these for around $1,000 to $2,000. It's definitely worth it. Anyway, guys, tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. Tell me what you think about the video that I have made today. Would you like to see a part 2 to this video? Are there any suggestions to alternatives that you would make down in the comments? I wanted to steer clear of suggesting micro brands here in this video. The whole point of this video was I have a very high-end luxury watch that costs a lot of money, and I'm suggesting to you a very high-end luxury watch that doesn't cost a lot of money as an alternative. That's very hard to do, but there are a lot of watches out there that kind of fit the bill. So tell me one that you can think of down in the comment section below. Maybe I will use it in a future video. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. Thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate it, and it means a lot to me. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is really helpful for the channel. And again, I very, very much appreciate it. Anyway, guys, that's really it. Thank you for logging on. Thank you for watching this video. I will catch you guys in the next video.